I'd like to tell you that you are not alone, and you have never been alone. You have to seek help. You have to get out. You too can be a survivor. You too can be an advocate. Get help. Where do I start? Well, sometimes I start from the beginning, but then there are times when I start from where I am now, which is the advocacy. And the reason for me even beginning to advocate. For me, advocacy was my own self-healing. And it was me taking back my identity. It was me also trying to see if I can get my voice back and also to help others to be heard. So I had to deal with just deciding to not live in fear anymore. And while some of my family members, my sisters, were afraid of me standing out or speaking out, I remember as a reporter, I decided to speak out in print. It was during the 16 Days of Activism for 2017, I believe it was 2018. And it was 2018. And I remember deciding to put my story out there. And my sister asked me, "Are you sure? What if he reads it?" And I said, "Well, does it matter now anyway? Because if I'm still living in fear, does it matter if I hide anymore?" And but the editors and them were still concerned, so they didn't put my name. And at the introduction, they said, "This is not the person's name, and we are not hiding her from the eyes of the public, but from the eyes of the abuser." And I was so angry because it felt like if I was back in that cage again, because I had to stay. It felt like silence in me again. So I said, you know what, any platform I get to speak on, because usually they ask you if there's anything you don't want to say, if you feel uncomfortable, we'll stop here. And I said, you know what? I lived with a mask on for so long, and I lived hiding for so long that I wasn't going to do it anymore. I was 19, and within the first year, I got my first slap. My first son was 7 months at the time. And I remember it. I remember I had a pearl earring in my ears and it flew out. I remember looking for it, not even thinking that. I was in shock because I didn't think, although he was abusive verbally in that first year, I didn't think it would have led to that. I really didn't think at any time that he would be physically abusive. And now that I know the terms, the different terms, now I know all of the different types of abuse there, and I know the different terms that is attached to it. So I didn't think that him keeping me away from my family was isolation. I know it now, but I didn't know. I just felt, they say is the man eyeball? So I felt like his eyeball. For me, it felt like this all-consuming love. And that's what I wanted at the time. I wanted, after being baptized, my sole focus was being able to say as for me and my household. So I wanted him to change, and then I felt like I would get the husband that he was supposed to be. So my Christianity played a lot in the amount of years I stayed. And there were so many different factors to stay in because by the time we got married, I already had the first 3 children. I'm a mom of 7 and grandmom of 1. And all 7 are after him. He's the biological father for all 7 of them. So it just felt natural to say, one, he will change. I thought I could fix him. Through prayers, through people praying for him. I thought I could fix him through me talking to him, always being his cushion, trying to be the perfect wife or the perfect mother. So he'd see what he had and then it would make him want to change. And it took a number of years for me to let go of that and realize that someone has to want to change for themselves. So I could orchestrate all the scenarios for him to want to change. I could speak until the sun came up. It still didn't make a difference. And the minute you accept that as normal, then your life is not normal. It's dysfunctional. And you have to know the damage you're causing to your children, because they may not be abused, but they are witnesses to abuse. And that could color their own relationships. Childhood trauma could damage you for the rest of your life. And then sometimes you're ashamed to go for help because you think that someone is going to judge you as a victim, your family and your friends, the community, because they hear the quarrel and all that. And then sometimes my thought was, after we had an incident, and then the next day we walk out the road and we looking normal, and I'm thinking, what my neighbors thinking, boy? They might be saying, is either they thinking she well stupid for staying with this man, or they're afraid for me. And I never wanted that, and I want other people to take that alone feeling away from victims and survivors without endangering yourself. And there's a way. There are ways to do it. I'd like to say to Trinidad and Tobago that we have to recognize that gender-based violence is no longer only about a spousal dispute. It has to now be a we thing. It has to be that you are your brothers and sisters' keeper. Look for the signs. Be a friend to your friends by helping them to get help and get out if they have to. I'd like to say to Trinidad and Tobago, encourage persons who are in those situations to seek help. And if you have to, be the friend that gets help for them. My name is Valdeen Tamara Shears, and I am a survivor.